We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
Baby, you want baby? I know that. Canelo Alvarez. I just want to see you strip. He's been stripped, y'all, of the IBF for fighting Edgar Berlanga. And we gonna get unpacked. Canelo Alvarez just announced he will be fighting Puerto Rican Edgar Berlanga. A fight that virtually nobody asked for. He literally just reached into his magic hat and pulled this name out. Nobody requested this fight. I didn't see, there's like, you know, some fights have a backstory. Some fights have a build where people want to see those fights for years and then it finally happens. That is not the case here. So you picked Edgar Berlanga. I don't know why. Edgar Berlanga did respond to the criticism, and we shall take a look at it. Roll the clip.
What's up, y'all? It's Edgar Berlanga, and I want to tell my fight fans, man, we got the fight. Berlanga versus Canelo, live September 14th in Las Vegas on pay-per-view. And for y'all fucking haters, man, y'all gonna eat y'all words. And don't sleep on me, because y'all gonna be sleeping for a very long time, man. Knockout season, fireworks. You know how we coming? Big New York. Puerto Rico en la casa, oíste, pa' que lo sepa.
So you guys just heard from Edgar Berlanga. He knows that a lot of people feel a type of way about him getting the fight. That's just being honest with you. And the thing I don't think Edgar Berlanga realizes, yeah, he probably has some haters, but I don't really think these are haters of Berlanga as much as disappointment of Canelo. I mean, what can I say? Canelo's supposed to be the face of boxing. Canelo is a popular guy nonetheless, and you just almost expect more from a Canelo Alvarez and the people who have this torch, if you will, in terms of making boxing look good by doing the right thing. I told you guys Canelo hasn't really done that in quite some time. He's cherry picking. Some of them are harder to see. Some of them are advanced cherry picks like Sergey Kovalev. And I'm not even going to drudge up the details and re-explain it. If you didn't catch my old videos, it's on you. Subscribe to the channel. But the point is, Canelo Alvarez continues to fight people that no one wants to see. Now he's being stripped with the IBF because he has been ordered to fight against William Skull, and he's going a completely different direction, fighting Edgar Berlanga. Again, a fight that nobody has really asked for. So that should be coming down the pipeline. You guys see it right here. ESPN has reported on their page. Sources: Canelo Alvarez to be stripped of his IBF 168-pound title. Canelo Alvarez is being stripped of his 168 super middleweight title with the IBF ahead of his September 14th fight with Edgar Berlanga in Las Vegas, sources told ESPN Thursday. The decision comes with Alvarez's mandatory defense against William Skull. It's overdue. Alvarez, boxing's top star, will still defend the other belts, WBA, the WBC, and the WBO 168-pound titles against Edgar Berlanga. The IBF is set to order a vacant title fight between William Skull and the number 2 contender, Vladimir Shishkin, sources say, which is kind of common sense. If they're stripping one guy, then this is what happens next. Once, it says, quote, once we officially notified the involved parties, we will issue a statement. The The IBF president, Daryl Peoples, told ESPN. So they're just going through the parameters, but it looks like Canelo's being stripped. Neither Skull nor Shishkin is rated by ESPN at super middleweight. Vladimir's been waiting for this opportunity a long time. I'm thrilled he's finally going to get a chance to sign. His promoter, Dmitry Salita, said and told ESPN, as a promoter, it's gratifying to see someone progress to a world champion status, especially after witnessing their growth at early stage of their career. Alvarez is the latest star to lose his undisputed championship after being stripped by the IBF. Alexander Usyk was stripped of his IBF heavyweight title after he defeated Tyson Fury in May. Listen, I don't know what ESPN is up to, but the way it read from that article, they're almost making it sound like the IBF did something wrong by doing their job. I'm glad Canelo got stripped, and I'm glad the IBF, like, how can anybody be mad if the IBF is enforcing their rules? Unfortunately, all the sanctioning bodies aren't enforcing their rules. Like, you'll have David Benavidez, who he keeps calling out Canelo. That's the fight the fans want to see. It'll be a big fight in terms of money, fanfare, merchandise sales, ticket sales, you know, the attendance, the pay-per-views, all of these things. And it just makes all the sense in the world. But payday, you'll want payday. I know that Canelo, he's not trying to fight Benavidez. That's very apparent. You can say whatever you want, but his actions. See, I don't really care about this. Where I'm from, there's a lot of people who do this. Bump gums, talk, I do this, I'm this, I'll do this, I'll defeat you, blah, blah. Nobody really worry about that here. What you do worry about is the person who's the silent killer, who says a lot less, and you know they're good for it. Like, they could keep it very short, very to the point, and you know they mean what they say. They don't have to oversell it, over talk, and over promote it. It just is what it is, and their reputation almost precedes them. So I'm not mad at the IBF in general by enforcing their own rules. In fact, I think boxing would be in a better spot if everybody in boxing did this and enforced their rules, because we know how the game goes. A lot of politics. That's why I keep telling you, belts don't really matter like people think in the sport of boxing. They're trinkets. There's far too many belts. Then the politics behind the belts, it's a mess. It's chaotic. So at the end of the day, fans are going to gravitate to the fights they want to see. Like Gervonta Davis when he fought Ryan Garcia. It happened at a catchweight. There was no belt at stake, and it still outsold every other fight in 2023. It's the reality of it. No belt on the line at all. Versus you have a fight with Crawford and Errol Spence that people said they wanted to see for all the belts at welterweight, and it didn't do as good as Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. It is what it is. But it's also stuff like this. Again, props to the IBF for stripping Canelo. And I don't think you being a superstar and you being a name in the sport of boxing should alleviate you from regular championship responsibility. You're a champion. You've made a lot of money, and Canelo's been holding the belts hostage. It's just what it is. He's been holding the belts hostage. And I know I'm not the only person that feels this way, but enough is enough. Enough is enough. In fact, his former promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, he did an interview and he talked about Canelo Alvarez picking Berlanga. And this is what he had to say.
What's up, guys? Clapback Thursdays. Lots of rumors that Jaime Munguia is going to top rank. Wrong. He's still with Golden Boy, but just fighting on ESPN for his next fight. Just a different network. The September 14th fight has been made. Canelo Alvarez, Edgar Berlanga. A fight that nobody asked for. Fans are now starting to boycott Canelo for continuing to duck You know who. Also, they're going up against the UFC at the Sphere. Ooh, good luck with making a splash with that one. Jake Paul, he won his last fight over the weekend. Jake, I've told you before that if you want to legitimize yourself in the sport of boxing, you have to take a different path. I have the perfect opponent for you to gain the real respect of the boxing community. What you're doing right now is regressing skill-wise. It's not making you a better fighter. Just call me.
So you just heard from Oscar De La Hoya. He's saying what I said, like, nobody wanted to see the Berlanga fight. It's just not what people are in the mood for. And it's just weird that Canelo continues to get away with this behavior, which is bad for the sport of boxing. And the Canelo man fans don't want to call him out. So yeah, I'm happy he's getting stripped, because boxing is looking real lawless. It's like the Wild Wild West, anything goes. And Canelo should, you should have maybe a little bit of seniority, but more so for the individual fight. Like, hey, I want top billing. I want the lion's share of the money. We're going to fight in this size ring. We're going to use this glove size, or, you know, just the A-side perks. I'm all good with that. You've earned your spot. You've done, you know, the colossal numbers and things like that. So cool. But it shouldn't be like, oh, you're Canelo Alvarez and we think you're a star, or your past fights have generated X, Y, and Z numbers. So now you get to do whatever you want. And people that are deserving, like David Benavidez, they don't get a shot at Canelo Alvarez, but somehow, some way, Edgar Berlanga does. I mean, this is what puts boxing back. I feel like with stuff like this, we will never reimagine and become that number one sport out of all, you know, in terms of NBA and NFL and stuff like that. We can't become the number one sport because it's too fragmented and you got BS like this. You could go to Canelo's page and just peruse through the comment section, see what people are saying about Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga. And for me, I don't even think it's so much Edgar Berlanga per se. I don't really know that people are hating or angry. The fact of the matter is, some things just are what they are. He hasn't, quote unquote, earned the fight, meaning his resume is trash. He hasn't fought anybody. That's not hate. Like, we gotta really use our words better in 2024 and beyond. We got to really strive to use our words better, because nowadays, if you have a criticism or even make a statement, even if it's factual and you could kind of justify it with the appropriate information, people will misconstrue it as, oh, you're hating. Oh, you hate this person. But things that are true aren't really hate. I don't look at that as hate. Like, if somebody's overweight, then they're overweight. It's just what it is. Like, you could try to skirt around and get the PC police. If you're overweight for your height and age and size, then you're overweight. It's just what it is. You guys want to sugarcoat it. And when it comes to Berlanga, the bottom line is he hasn't fought nobody that would ready him for a Canelo fight. He hasn't fought one single person. And if you disagree with me, let me know who he's fought in the comment section. Like, he didn't fight Caleb Plant. Great fight for him. Caleb's coming off a loss to David Benavidez. The Trevor McCumbee got injured. Wompty. That would have been a great fight. Or instead of Canelo fighting Jaime Munguia was on DAZN. Berlanga was on DAZN. If you could make Canelo versus Berlanga, then how come DAZN couldn't do an in-house fight with Munguia Berlanga and then Canelo fought the winner? And another genius thing with what I just said is you would take, instead of spacing it out to 2 separate fights that no one really asked for, then you would incentivize the winner to perform. And then we don't have to watch Canelo fight Munguia in May and then Berlanga in September and stretch it out. You know, this is just random, but to give you guys an analogy, I'm very strategic, even in my everyday life when I'm going to run errands. When I'm going to run errands, if I have to go to Target and then there's a grocery store by the Target that I need to go to, and then I got to return something to Amazon, then I'll basically triangulate and map it out so I have almost like an itinerary. Hey, if I'm gonna be on this side of town, I can hit up the Target, hit up the grocery store, and then, you know, before that I'll do my Amazon returns so my food doesn't get cold. You know, I just map it out and see what makes the most sense. So I'm very structured, very strategic in my personal life. Again, if Munguia fought Berlanga, that's 2 people, 1 match, winner gets Canelo. Now we don't have to watch Canelo step on the product so much and then fight Jermell Charlo, a guy who, so you went from Jermell Charlo, no fights at 160, no fights at 168, coming off a hand injury, so he had to pull out the Tim Tszyu fight. We go from that to, so basically not a 168 pounder as an undisputed. Then you fight against guys like whoever else he fought. John Ryder, no one asked for that fight. Munguia, no one asked for that fight. And now again, Berlanga, no one's asking for the fight. So Canelo's just stretching it at this. He's dragging it, he's stretching it. And I'm glad he's getting stripped, because we need to start dispersing some of these belts so other people can, you know, the division could move on. And I know the haters, they're like, oh, but David Benavidez, he's staying at 175. He's staying at 175 because Canelo doesn't want to fight him, because he's tired of chasing Canelo to no avail, because guys like Berlanga are getting the fights, and Munguia, 2 guys that I think that David Benavidez would certainly beat if they fought. Those guys are getting the Canelo fight, and Benavidez knows Canelo. Every time Canelo's asked about Benavidez, he starts switching the subject. He say, don't disrespect me. He say he don't want to fight Mexican fighters. He'll say he needs 150 mil, maybe 200 mil. It's always some excuse. And I'm so glad that I've done my job so well that the world is now getting to see it. And it's in real time. You can see it. Canelo don't want no smoke with Benavidez. You had so many opportunities where if you really wanted to shut this kid up, you could have picked him. But you picked Jermell, you picked John Ryder, you picked Jaime, you picked Edgar. You picking all around him. It's like a little kid who, they want to eat the steak, they want to eat the mashed potatoes, they don't want their veggies. So they start picking around. You're eating the King's Hawaiian roll or the dinner roll. You're eating the steak. The kid likes the steak, he likes the dinner roll, he likes the dinner roll with butter, he likes the mashed potatoes and gravy, but he don't want to eat his vegetables. So he's like picking around, and he wants the dessert. This is Canelo Alvarez. I'm giving you guys perfect examples of what you're doing. Canelo is picking around the plate, and he don't want the biggest chore, which is it's just like my analogy with the plate of food. The most nutritious thing on there, you know, aside from steak, has protein and stuff like that, but the veggies might be the most nutritious thing that you're to eat with the least amount of calories. That's the one thing the kid don't want to eat. That's Canelo Alvarez. The one thing he don't want to eat is his veggies. He don't want to eat that pill and fight David Benavidez. So I'm glad he's getting stripped. He's holding the belts hostage. The IBF, they're just going about, you know, business as usual. And now it lessens the Canelo versus Berlanga fight, because Berlanga could have fought for undisputed, but since Canelo's picking and choosing and not fighting certain mandatories. Now it's not even going to be for Undisputed. So I don't know. I think what Canelo's doing is very apparent. So I don't really have to say too much more. We unpacked.